Okay, guys, welcome to an edition of the Drizzle Wrestling Show. I've not done an episode in a really long time, and there's some stuff going on that I want to talk about. Could The Undertaker possibly be returning? He was spotted actually last weekend in New York. They were spotting him actually before SummerSlam. He was in the ring, he was doing some training and some training drills like hitting the mat and doing a few different moves with the trainer. So could we possibly get a rematch where Undertaker faces Roman Reigns in a future WWE pay-per-view? I say go for it. I want to see that match. I think that Taker went out on a really bad note, and I think he deserves at least one more shot at Roman Reigns, honestly. Um, so the other thing is Xavier Woods is officially injured. He has an ACL. Uh, Looks like to be a bruised ACL. I believe that's what I was reading. So he will be out up to 6 weeks. So he will not be at the next pay per view event. And he will not be on SmackDown Live for at least 4 more weeks. Um, the big news is that Ric Flair is better. He is up and around. He's doing physical therapy. He is progressing very well with his surgery. So we could possibly see the Nature Boy on TV in the next 3 months here, maybe. Even possibly maybe at some wrestling shows. Charlotte is back. She's done an interview backstage on SmackDown, kind of posting everybody on updates on her dad and her career. So that is very happy to know, and we're glad that Nature Boy is going to be okay. I was kind of worried myself because, I'm a Flair fan, and I never wanted anything really bad to happen to Rick. He's a great guy, especially for wrestling fans. He does a lot of personal, shows and autographs and with fans and takes pictures, and he's just a good guy. And that would have been a shame. So I'm glad that everything is working well with him, and that he will be back soon. Um, the other thing I want to talk about is Adam Cole made his debut on NXT. He attacked Drew McIntyre, so I assume that we're probably going to get that match at the next takeover between him and McIntyre. You could also possibly throw in Bobby Fish and maybe Roderick Strong as well. That could possibly kind of build, that division as well. So NXT also, Asuka's injury is really going to affect the women's division. They're talking about doing some type of a tournament. Uh, that or the winner of the Mae Young Classic would be given an opportunity to be the NXT Women's Champion. Not a bad idea. I say go for it because the Mae Young Classic has been absolutely amazing. All the women have done a great job in that tournament. We've had crazy finishes. We've had very interesting, combos of different types of moves that we haven't seen in WWE filming and matches. Um, and I think that they're getting a lot of great talent from the women's tournament. I feel like the Mae Young Classic was a great idea. If I were them, I would do it next year too. Frankly, that would definitely benefit the fans. And the other thing I want to talk about is it is official that Ziggler's contract is up in October. Unfortunately, he's talking about leaving WWE and possibly going to a different company. He does do other things though too. He wants to get back into acting. Um, I have to be honest. I'm a Ziggler fan, and I feel like WWE really dropped the ball on him. The guy is incredibly talented. He's a former world champion. Um, he could do the same thing that Cody Rhodes did in Del Rio, which is just go to a different company and reestablish yourself. I say if he does that, the most prominent company that would really appreciate him, honestly, is ROH. The second one would be, you know, GFW, and New Japan is in there too, and Noah possibly too is an option. Um, I don't really want to see Ziggler go, but at the same time, I don't want WWE just wasting his talent there. Um, they haven't really done anything with him in the past few years. I feel like that's a huge waste of a talent for him to just set on the shelf and not do anything with him. Um, if he goes to another company, I feel like they could really push him to be a top heel and a champion. Um, if I was him, I personally would go to GFW so that you can have those rivalries with Del Rio, with Johnny Mundo, with Eli Drake. Um, I mean, I can't go into more as far as I'm not sure who else is really there anymore. I'm not sure if Lashley is going to be there or not, but I think that that could be a good rivalry too. Um, and the other thing I want to talk about is I feel like GFW has gotten better. We've had a lot of international talent come in. Um, we saw the championship match last week, the battle royal or battle or gauntlet match or whatever they're calling it. I think that that was really beneficial to the company because you're trying to basically build a champion for Bound for Glory. Um, here's my opinion on Bound for Glory. It has to be better than last year's. Um, Last year's was okay, it was average, but this year you have to have matches that people are gonna want to watch, like Taryn Terrell versus Gail Kim, maybe like in a street fight match. That could be interesting. I say let Lashley come back for Bound for Glory and let him fight Eli Drake, or Matt Sydal or somebody like that. Um, and then maybe bring in like a different talent from New Japan or something like that, and have them go against like one of the X Division wrestlers like Sanjay Dutt. Um, I feel like with Jim Cornette involved now, we should finally get competition, great matches. Um, I always liked Jim Cornette. I thought that he was really good for most wrestling companies he's been involved in. Um, and the other thing I wanted to talk about is Jeff Hardy getting his shot at the Intercontinental Championship against Miz. Um, I think that that should be an interesting rivalry. I really hope that they go ahead and do that. I think the Hardys versus the Mizdoras should be interesting. Um, so yeah, I think that wrestling is beginning to be better on all lengths. I'm even quite impressed with New Japan because you get Marty Scurll versus Will Ospreay, uh, Kenny Omega. Has had a wonderful last few months with the great matches and some of the pay-per-views. Um, WWE, I mean, you've already got Adam Cole, you've already got Bobby Fish, and you've got so many other ROH talent there. Why not have a ROH versus WWE pay-per-view event? You've already got most of their talent. Plus, Roderick Strong is there too. So I mean, you got to think about Kevin Owens. I mean, you got to think about it. If the ROH people could form together and get permission, they could have like a ROH versus WWE pay-per-view. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about having a pay-per-view with ROH talent versus WWE? I feel like they could obviously do that now, because they're gonna have to reinvent NXT because you're taking all the talent into the main roster like Bobby Roode, uh, and obviously Asuka is gonna be gone too. So I mean she's gonna be either on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live. So I mean you have to consider they're trying to reinvent NXT. Well, there's your there's your shot right there to just totally just redo everything. And there's also been rumors going around that Shawn Michaels is going to be involved in NXT. He might be like a general manager with William Regal. I'd say do that. I want to see it. That could be great for NXT. And now in an interview, Brie Bella did, I think it was last month, she was talking about Daniel Bryan and how WWE is not going to let him wrestle in their company again. Um, I don't know if I think it's because of injuries or his health or something like that. Um, and he wants to wrestle again, and if the company's not going to let him wrestle again, then he's pretty much prepared to go to a different company. I say what should happen is when his contract is expiring, I believe in 2018, I would say he should go back to ROH. If you go back to ROH, you're automatically welcomed with arms open because that's where he got his start. They're already talking to CM Punk to bring him in eventually. I say if that does happen, right there you have two top talents who can just take over that company and just push them to higher levels that they've never been. And I want to also talk about the Maria Kanellis and Mike Bennett, Mike Kanellis. I feel like WWE is not pushing him the way that he should be booked. I feel like what they should do is they should move them to Raw and have them feud with Miz and Maurice and then build it towards a pay-per-view. That way you're kind of, well, not wasting his talents on SmackDown Live, because right now, has the guy even won a single match on SmackDown? No. And that's sad because he's a really interesting guy when you watch interviews and stuff like that. He's knowledgeable about wrestling, and I feel like they should push him and they should do it on Raw. They have the capability of doing that. Kurt Angle could possibly maybe even wrestle him, maybe at a pay-per-view, because he's kind of interested in coming back and wrestling. So yeah, what do you guys think about Mike Bennett versus Kurt Angle at a pay-per-view? Or Sami Zayn, versus Kurt Angle, because Kurt Angle wants Sami Zayn on Raw too. Randy Orton is not happy on SmackDown Live. He pretty much has been voicing that. Could we have a potential trade to where Orton, Bennett, and Zayn get traded to Raw? I mean, I don't see that, being a horrible thing for Monday Night Raw. I feel like it would just boost their ratings. The women's championship match between Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss, I watched it. I felt like the match could have gone longer. I really felt like it was kind of slow-paced. And I kind of wonder what they're going to do with Bayley now when she comes back, because it sounds like Nia Jax is going to be, next for the championship match at the next pay-per-view. So, I mean, what are we going to see here with the women's division on Raw? I mean, it's kind of chaotic right now. We don't really know who's going to be where or who's fighting who. So, I mean, I was happy that they're finally using Mickie James on Monday Night Raw. I like Mickie James. I always have. I thought she's incredibly talented. I think that they should give her one more shot at the championship belt, honestly. I want to see Banks versus Mickie James at the Royal Rumble. That's what I want to see. And then bring Bayley back into the picture after that match is over with. Because you need to build a solid women's championship match for Royal Rumble. So what do you guys think about that?